Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
Religious freedom is under attack in your home and in the public marketplace. Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me is Matt Barber, vice president of Liberty Counsel Action. Matt, this first issue we want to talk about is religious liberty in your home, and there's a couple of stories we want to talk about, but the first one comes from Florida in Longwood, which is in the central Florida area, Seminole County, right near Orlando, Florida. For those that are wanting to get a geographical picture, that's where it's located. And there is a Homeowners Association that wanted to prohibit one of the homeowners in the neighborhood from having a Bible study in their private home. Liberty Counsel sent a letter to the board of directors and reminded them that this is an intrusion on religious freedom. The good news is they ultimately did back down, and they decided not to press any further legal action or other action against these individuals.
Well, in a case like this, I like to give the Homeowners Association the benefit of the doubt. We advised them, we educated them, and they backed off. So were they expressing a hostility toward these individuals, or have they just been duped by the disinformation that people like the American Civil Liberties Union and others send out, basically, touting this separation of church and state and other nonsense in order to really try to shut down religious liberty here in the United States. They've backed off after we sent them a letter advising them that they were way out of bounds here. And so they've now done the right thing. But the problem is, how many of these kinds of instances go unnoticed and people just don't do anything about it, and religious liberties end up being trampled?
Well, what we have here is a letter from this Homeowners Association that demanded that any activity in the community that is carried out on a lot that makes or causes discomfort, annoyance, or nuisance to the community must cease. The letter then said that the regular meetings in the home should cease as of receipt of this letter. And what they were doing was this individual husband and wife in this home, the man is a pastor, and he has a handful of men from his church in his home at 6:30 a.m. for prayer. And there's not very many people, just a handful. And then his wife will host a ladies' Bible study in their home at 10 o'clock. And it doesn't go on every day, but it goes on a regular basis. There may be 4 or 5 cars in this area. They live in a cul-de-sac, so they're at the end of a road, and they only have 4 or 5 cars at 10 a.m. Well, a lot of people are gone to work. By that time, she's having a Bible study in her home. And they came in and said, you need to cease this immediately. Liberty Counsel got involved. We set forth what the law is and that this would be a problematic violation of their free exercise of religion. And the good news is that the association decided to back down. But it happens in other places as well. There's another situation where in Venice, Florida, the city of Venice dropped charges against Shane and Marlene, and they are a couple accused of having an unauthorized, quote, house of worship, close quote, in their home. They only have about 6 to 10 guests that show up on a Friday night for prayer and Bible study in their home. The city contended that the meetings violated the ordinance requiring houses of worship to be on at least 2 acres of property.
Unbelievable. Houses of worship. Individual Christians getting together within the safe confines of somebody's home to exercise their religious freedom, and they're labeled a house of worship, a church, as if under some kind of ordinance they can circumvent the United States Constitution and infringe upon their First Amendment religious liberties. It's remarkable the way that I think many municipalities and government entities are ramping up religious hostility.
Yeah, no question about it. What we have here is this situation where if they were meeting on Friday night to watch the football games or some kind of sporting events, they probably wouldn't have had a problem with them. If they're meeting on Friday night because they're having regular Amway meetings in their home or Mary Kay meetings in their home, what would they do? But now because the content of their message is religious, they're studying the Bible, they're singing some hymns, it's just a small group of people, 6 to 10 guests on Friday evening, they then said, well, that's a house of worship, and the zoning ordinance says that all houses of worship must be on 2 acres of property. And even that right there is problematic. What gives the government the compelling reason to force houses of worship to be on 2 acres of property? In some places, for example, in the areas where that 2 acres of property is, may be much more than what the house of worship, if you're actually developing a church, needs, and may be very expensive. So that itself can be an impediment. The ordinance itself is likely unconstitutional, but certainly it's unconstitutional as applied to these individuals in their private home.
Well, but listen to the way of thinking. Going back quickly to the Homeowners Association instance here, where we in our letter to them we pointed out that, as you just mentioned, there are groups having scrapbooking, Monday Night Football, no problem. But it's the viewpoint, and they cited their Declaration of Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions, their declaration statement, and noted here that there were concerns about, quote, offensive activity, quote, no noxious or offensive activity shall be carried on upon any lot, nor shall anything be done thereon tending to cause embarrassment, discomfort, annoyance, or nuisance to the community. So prayer with a handful of people in their own home is offensive and noxious, according to this Homeowners Association. And this is the kind of mentality that we see coming from the secular left. They actually find people celebrating their relationship with Christ and worshiping together as offensive and noxious. Well, they're the ones that are offensive and noxious.
Yeah, and in fact, they were actually fining them $250 a day for holding the meetings, and that was going to continue on until they stopped. The City Venice Code Enforcement Board eventually voted 6-0 to dismiss all the charges and the penalties. Good thing, because had they been sued, they would have lost that battle. That is, the city would have lost the battle, and they would have had to pay a lot more in attorney's fees for this unconstitutional restriction. Well, over in New Orleans now, you have a little bit different situation. You have a pastor there who wants to go to Bourbon Street in New Orleans to share the gospel with people that come there. His wife accompanies him on many occasions, and members of the various churches also come there as well. They've been doing that for a number of years. But about a year ago, the city passed an ordinance banning speech and prohibiting congregating on Bourbon Street, quote, for the purposes of disseminating any social, political, or religious message between the hours of sunset and sunrise. That's unbelievable. So you can go to Bourbon Street and promote any other kind of message you want to, but it can't be social, political, or religious between sunset and the time sun rises. But
do you? I know you do. This is a rhetorical question. Do you see the blaring? What really stands out here is that is precisely what the First Amendment is there to protect. Religious speech and activity, political speech and activity, certainly any kind of social gathering so that is exactly what this pastor was doing on Bourbon Street, is exactly what the First Amendment guarantees that he is protected and allowed to do, yet the city...
Yeah, it doesn't have a time frame on it.
No.
It doesn't apply only between sunrise and sunset.
Yeah.
Well, this pastor was in the French Quarter, and he shared his faith in Christ with other people that were there in a non-confrontational way. And a police officer approached him and said, "You're going to be arrested if you continue to evangelize after dark." So once the sun goes down, you can't share the gospel until the sun comes back up the next morning.
It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling, Matt.
And it's mind-boggling as people would pass an ordinance and think that they could do this
that they can get away
restriction.
With it. Yet they really do. Well, this is why Liberty Counsel is here, Matt. Case after case after case. This is just a small sampling of what we see come across our desks on a daily basis. If Liberty Counsel wasn't here to step in on these kinds of cases, then who knows, what they would get away with.
No question about it. So if you know of a situation in your area, give Liberty Counsel a call. If you read about it in the newspaper or you read about it in a blog, you find out that someone's having their religious freedom violated, give us a call, 800-671-1776, or go to our website at lc.org and email it to liberty@lc.org. That's liberty@lc.org. If we don't know about the situation, we can't get involved. And if we can't get involved, oftentimes it's the government officials, the bureaucrats, that will intimidate these individuals into silence, even though that is unconstitutional for them to do so. So go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. You can order a lot of our resources right there on the website. We have a number of them there, a number of bumper stickers as well. We have bumper stickers that defend the First Amendment and also the Second Amendment. I second the First Amendment is the bumper sticker that we've just created, plus we have many others. We have also additional resources. Go to Liberty Counsel. Continue to pray for this ministry. Go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.